pump in my veins like one and the same. Take me higher with your mysterious way. I've been too slow on the draw, watching all of them run over me. I'm taking back what's mine, screaming truths that live inside of me. I'm just trying to live before I die and leave a legacy. This is for my babies praying all of y'all will see the crossed lines. I drive straight through the night. Just told you one last time. Haven't told you. Do you hear me when I feel shit's about to get real? Can't you understand? Still a junkie.
Hello, and welcome to RealMojo.LIVE. Tonight I've got a treat for you. We have an incredible singer. His name is Baxley, as you just saw, and just an incredible singer, and has a long history of doing rock and roll and even country, and we'll talk about all of that. And so Kirk Baxley, just a little bit on him. He has a new record out called Snakes On, and the hit song is Like a Drug. And it's just an incredible album, end to end. Has some incredible players. He has been nominee for the Best Frontman and Vocal Performance in the Dallas Observer, and 3-time nominee for the Best Frontman in the Austin Chronicle. Without further ado, let's bring him on. Kirk, how are you doing, brother?
What's up? How are you, my brother? Good to see you, man.
I am so excited to do this interview. We have an interesting connection through a couple of different things.
Yes, sir.
Kirk, you went to church with my roommate from college, and
What?
then then we both have a mutual friend who also happens to be the guitar player on I believe this album, right? This EP?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, so
yes, sir.
So anyhow, recently met at the birthday party of Zach Loy, who's the guitar player, and
That's right.
I got to see you perform live, and I got to say, there's not many that can shine like that, man. And it was impressive. It was impressive.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. My granddad, Papaw Baxley, is I belovedly call him LD, man. He's told me since I was a kid, man. He said, we as believers, once we accept our gift and our calling, there's almost a magnet, and people are drawn to that hope and that joy. You know what I mean? And How are you going to use your magnet? Was his question. Are you going to draw people in and share love and hope? Or are you going to draw people in with this gift and do the wrong things? And I've been guilty of doing the wrong things. I mean, we all have. Yeah. But I'm trying to fight the good fight, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you've had like a crazy long journey in music. I mean, you've been doing music since the 90s, right? Basically.
Bro, I feel
right?
old. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
Just FYI, I'm 46 years old, so if you feel old, I'm probably a couple of years past that, feeling even older. So,
well, as James Brown would say, we feel good and we look good.
Yes,
we feel good, we look good.
So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about that journey, man. Let's talk about early on what got you into music. I mean, you had. I'd read that you kind of got started with doing impersonations of Elvis, which is pretty cool.
You took a deep dive, sir. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yes. So I grew up in a really musical home. Both sides of my family were really into music. My mom's side, my Uncle Mike was the lead singer and guitar player for Santa Fe, a country band in the early 90s. My Uncle Richard is an incredible drummer. They still play today in an R&B project locally and in private functions and stuff. He actually had the shot to be George Strait's drummer and all his best friends are still Ace in the Hole. And back in the day, he didn't get to stick out the gig, you know. But they have a little studio here in Belton. Him and my Aunt Terry are both incredible singers and players in their own right. And then on my dad's side, he was kind of the first. My great granddad on my dad's side was a singer songwriter, and I actually own his guitar. I have his guitars now, which are really cool. But he was a music minister back in the day in the Lubbock area. And during his off time during the week, he felt really led to jump on trains. And at every train stop, he would get out and do gospel songs to kind of share the message and to play for people. That was my great granddad, Smith. And so anyway, both sides, and then my dad was a vocal performance major and is classically trained and was a gospel singer and fronted a gospel group for a while. So I was just like surrounded by music. Christmases back in the day when I was a child were like, they were jam sessions, bro. Everyone played something. Everyone can sing. I mean, they're jumping on the 1, 3, 5 harmonies right out of the gate. And it's just like, it was an amazing time being 6, 7 years old and just engulfed in that kind of music back then, you know. And I was, my dad was a minister for 28 years. And I actually was not allowed to listen to the radio and stuff like that. I didn't know what was happening. So, dude, it was literally hymns and my dad's favorite gospel groups. You know what I mean? So we literally, that's fire.
Dude. So what you were saying about not being able to listen to anything but, you know, Christian music, this is a Striper inspired guitar. You can't quite see it.
To hell with the devil.
Yeah, and I did an interview with Michael Sweet and got to show him the guitar.
Amazing.
He's such a cool
What
cat.
a cool dude. Absolutely. So back then.
Anyhow, sorry to interrupt, brother.
No, that's awesome. I actually, the first like drums and bass and electric guitar I ever heard was Elvis Presley's Greatest Hits. I was 8 years old, and I thought that was happening then. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize he had already passed. I didn't know any of that. I fell in love with Elvis, dude, and I would swing and I would learn how to talk like him, how to sing like him. Then I started seeing old videos of him. My mom was encouraging this, of course, and before I knew it, like at my dad's, he had like a senior adults group. He would throw special functions for at the church and stuff. And they would bring me in, dude, full outfitted out with both of my uncles and my aunt backing me on piano, drums, and guitar. And I would perform Elvis songs at these events, like, you know, 3 or 4 songs. And it came so naturally to me. It was like I would be in my head and I would think about it, and I remember being like in a little room in my head. It was like my dressing room back then, you know, and I'm like getting ready, and I'd always been told, my mom would tell me, you know, just allow the anxiety and the fear and just embrace that. And when you come out, just come out strong and don't even think about it. Look at the back of the room, sing to the person at the back of the room. So she was very I then went into drama. You know, she was a big drama lady and really into performance art and old rock and roll. And then I had dad's, you know, gospel roots going on for me, you know. So that's how I started, man. I got obsessed with live performance and moving a room. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted to do for my life, and I knew it from a very young age, dude. So here we are.
Yeah, dude. And you can do it at the highest level too. It's really cool to see. You know, I mean, what was really cool about that night, right, at Zach's party was so many of you and your friends and Zach's friends from over the last 20, 30 years were there, you know. Yeah. So you have these musicians. Dude, the level of musicianship in that room is not easy to hang with. Dude, and you just came in there and I think y'all did yeah and several other ones, man. So
yes, sir.
Did y'all do Like a Drug that night?
We did. I did like the 2 sets, and I did for the Mother's Anthem reunion set. We had Xavier Murrell come in from Buckcherry, on drums, and we did the old version of Like a Drug. Yeah, man.
Oh man.
And honestly, it's crazy because I never intended on even remaking that song until that night. That night's actually very special for what's happening right now, and we can get to that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Night,
it was absolutely end to end magic, man. And yeah, and it was fun, and it kind of had a laid back feel to it in a sense, in the sense of like everybody was just enjoying it and so in the middle of it, and it was a real treat. I mean, it was uncommon, I'll put it that way. So,
man, it was humbling to step out on that stage. I mean, especially the very last set, I did that Stones tune with all those players, and the amount of talent.
I remember
on that
that.
Stage,
so good.
Bro, I was literally like, what am I doing here right now? It was incredible, though. Incredible.
So, yeah, I'm excited about that, and we kind of mentioned Like a Drug, so we might as well let's go ahead and talk about that and go ahead and get that out there. And so, the original writing of this song, how did it come about? Like, what was the whole thing about that?
Yeah, the original song was called Jesus Shot, and I was like, what's an edgy way? At the time, I was real frustrated with like the worship music, and I was like, man, what's an edgy way to say I need God like hardcore because I'm just a struggling asshole? So I was like, how do I do that? I'm like, well, I want you like a drug. I want to learn how to fiend for you, right? So it originally kind of became that, and songs take shape and form and become different things, and it soon became like the production at the time. Let's take it more like to a girl. Let's make it relatable, which is understandable. You want to reach the masses when you're doing that kind of a tune. And, man, it was at a hotel room on the way to L.A. our first time. And we were on one of our very first West Coast Mother's Anthem runs. Zach kind of had this riff happening. Jono was beating on an old suitcase in the room. And I have this, pump in my veins. You know what I'm saying? I had that going. And then I had the whole chorus happening. And so we played it that night. We rehearsed it and learned it there acoustically on a suitcase and 2 acoustics, and took it to the stage that night and then played it for the entire rest of our career. So that's how that came about. I wish I could remember the hotel and the hotel room, because I'd love to go visit it. There's a vibe in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's crazy, too, to go out and perform something that you haven't done electrically. Man.
We were having some balls that night, I guess.
Well, let's see what that looked like back in the day. What year would this video have been?
Man, I think I don't know. It might say it. I think it was uploaded later than it actually released. And Jeff and John Ray, shout out, Paper Tank Productions at the time. They shot the video, and I'll give you a little backstory about the video. Part of the video was shot in an old Volkswagen machine shop. And the other part of the video, the set was, remember the haunted house in Round Rock, right off I-35, the big one?
Yeah.
Every year it would be in the we made friends with the owner of that, and we were able to go in and shoot for a couple days in this haunted house. So it was fantastic.
It's cool. Well, let's hear it. Let's hear Like a Drug.
Pumping my veins with mysterious ways. Take me higher than anything. 'Cause I want you like a drug, and I need you like a drug. 'Cause I want you like a drug.
Now, whose stuff were you breaking?
Woo! All the things, bro.
All the things, dude.
Am I hallucinating? 'Cause through the smoke clouds tonight I can see what you're feeling. So take another hit, yeah. Just take a trip with me and raise your hands high.
Who is y'all's bass player again, by the way?
Woo! That's Mr. Drew Walters, man.
I
Out of
thought
Houston,
so.
Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I love that dude. He's a pretty cool cat too.
I love that man. He's a brother too, man.
He when I got my neck surgery, because I got neck surgery recently, he found out that I was getting it, and he like called me, made sure that that's what I needed to do, and because he went through that as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
all us
absolutely.
headbangers from back in the day, man.
Bruh.
So
I had a back surgery from falling off the scaffolding on a concrete stage years ago,
I hate to laugh at that, but
no, it's hilarious. It's fun. I laugh about it too.
Oh man, did you have to get rods or anything back then? Or?
Oh, dude, I had to have all-out fusion L2 through L6. There was like zero cartilage, and it was on the nerves, bro. It was bad.
Mine was I had a calcium deposit growing into my spine.
Oh wow!
So it was
Unreal,
kind of had to be done because I started losing feelings in my left side. So
Unreal, dude.
But
unreal. I'm so glad
we've
you
got
it, bro.
We've got the new version teed up here too. So tell us a little bit about what are the major changes? What's the scoop on this, man?
Here's what happens. So, as you know, Zach had an all-star cast at Antone's that night in Austin, Texas. For the Baxley set, it made me feel good. He said he had several people reaching out wanting to play on my set, which was awesome. Because up until then, I'd done a couple of full band shows with some bros out of Killeen. Shout out Distinguished Sounds, Stevie On, Josh Garcia, and all those fellas. Fantastic. But they did a couple filler shows for me just randomly. I was just kind of testing the waters, what it would be like with a full band, because up until then, I had been doing more R&B and hip-hop stuff, and I'd just been using DJs and MIDI controllers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just because it was more cost-efficient, honestly, for me to go out and play a hip-hop show with a DJ, and it's wild, but you have it's 2023, mm-hmm. So it's like people aren't even fazed by that. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, this is bad to the bone. We got this DJ, this guy's going crazy, and he's doing this hip-hop rock weird thing, So he hit me up and wanted to put together kind of an all-star lineup for my set. And so it was Will Knack on guitars, amazing, shout out Will. Nick J on bass, my homie, shout out Nick J. Robin Diaz on drums, shout out Robin. As you know,
Robin was there that night?
Robin played on my set.
Oh.
Robin is the most instrumental piece of this whole story, so I'm going to break it down. He got the tracks like 4 or 5 days before the show at Antone's, and was learning them and was hitting up Zach, going, "Yo, this shit's rad," blah blah blah, whatever. and so we played a set, and Harley, my manager, and his wife, Mrs. Winters, they're all there supporting me, obviously, and seeing how this is going to play out. And they had never really seen me but one other time with like a full band setup. So it was a big night for Zach, and I wanted all my people there. You know what I mean? And so we get done with the set. It's towards the end of the night, and Robin pulls Harley aside. "Hey, you're Harley Baxley's manager." "Yeah, absolutely." He goes, "Man, my best bro in Vancouver is a really well-known producer. He has several Grammys. He's a fantastic songwriter, and I want to link Baxley up with him as soon as possible." Fast forward 2 weeks later, I'm downtown Vancouver, Canada, with Robin Diaz on drums, and with Mike Young, the bassist of Mother Mother, did the session for us. And then Zach's guitars, we flew in. True Stereo, he tracked him there and flew him in for Brian. Then Brian played on the track, and we revamped and co-wrote the new version of Like a Drug. And so kind of the idea is we have kind of a new formula. We're trying to be honest to who I am as an artist now, because I'm always trying to progress and modernize. I feel like if you're an artist and you're not growing with every project and pushing yourself, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So I'm really into hip hop. At 13, that's all I listened to. And it's funny enough, when I was touring Mother's Anthem stuff, I'd not heard a lot of Guns N' Roses or Aerosmith or Led Zeppelin or Rolling Stones.
Really?
That turned me onto those bands. So
Yeah.
I'm fronting a band like this, and I have no idea that I'm doing what all these dudes did. You know what I mean? I had no idea. So they were blown away. They were like, "What?" He's like, "You've never seen footage of Axl Rose or Steven Tyler?" And I'm like, "No, sir." And tell me all about them. I want to know all about them. You know what I mean? So it was wild. But anyway, that night, Robin pulled Harley aside and made that connection for us. Shout out Robin Diaz. We love you. He played drums on that record, and we'll probably be doing some dates with me in the future. And yeah, man, put it together. And since then, it's been, dude, every day something else, another little window, another door. You know, it's unbelievable. I didn't really know exactly what direction we were going to take, and I'm leaning on Harley a lot for the business side because I'm pathetic at it. I create and I perform. You know what I mean? So,
right.
It's been exciting, man. But that's kind of how that went down. And Brian loved that tune, and we're going to be writing more. He's going to produce more for me, which is great. Chris Lord-Alge mixed the track, and then Ted Jensen mastered. So a Grammy-winning team right there on that song.
Yeah,
and just unbelievable. I'm super humbled and excited, you know, about the opportunity. So.
Well, let's play it
man.
Without waiting any longer. Here's Like a Drug, the new version.
Yes, sir.
Pumping my veins like one and the same. Take me higher with your mysterious ways. 'Cause I want to like a drug, and it's tearing me up. 'Cause I need you like a drug, and it's never enough. I fell in love with the pain, I fell in love with the taste. Through the smoke tonight, I'm getting lost in your ways. 'Cause I want you like a drug, and it's tearing me up. 'Cause I need you like a drug, and it's never enough. I feel shit's about to get real. Shaking while I stand still, a junkie kind of love.
I love this part.
Thank you, bro.
I know that one time you just had a hold on a kid. I know that talk shot, lean it, hit it, let me back it. You got my beat banging better, I put the Eddie in better. I'm saying you don't understand like I'm addicted forever. 'Cause I want you like a drug, and it's tearing me up. 'Cause I need you like a drug, and it's never enough. 'Cause I want you like a drug, and it's tearing me up. 'Cause I need you like a drug, and it's never enough. I feel shit's about to get real. Shaking while I stand still, a junkie kind of love. I feel shit's about to get real. Shaking while I stand still, a junkie kind of love. 'Cause I want you like a
Oh, that's wild. Nice.
Thank you, brother.
That's
Woo,
cool.
sounds
I
good
like
to
that
hear.
ending. I like that
thank you.
ending,
That's
and
gonna
I
make a
like the
song.
rap.
Oh, thank you, man. So that's the new formula. Like, there's gonna be some sort of swaggy, southerny hip hop section in every one of my tunes. We're just, you know, we're trying to modernize in a soulful, appropriate way, a modern rap rock kind of situation. You know,
Right.
so we've rebranded Active Rock, but there's gonna be that swag in there, man, because this is who I am, and I feel like it's honest. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, and you know what's great, and is like your well, Unveiled was your first band, right?
What? Yeah.
And then Greatness and Tragedy. Now, was Greatness and Tragedy more of a southern rock, classic rock sound, or was it Unveiled that was that?
Unveiled was we did every style known to man. We're one of those bands that was trying to figure out
it
what
out
in the world we were doing. We were one of the first like younger rock bands from the Temple Belton area, and we didn't know what we were doing. We were just throwing shows at Taylor's Valley Baptist Church, and everyone who skateboarded and listened to punk music came. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we were doing ska, we were doing punk, we were covering DC Talk, we were covering Jars of Clay. We were all over the map, bro. And I think that the core band members, the 3 core band members of Unveiled, kind of stuck together all the way up until we got a deal with Brando and signed with them and went on tour with Blue October. Greatness and Tragedy was more of it's like a heavier third eye. It's like Foo Fighters kind of vibe, but a little more singing. It's like Third Eye Blind and Foo Fighters. Boom, you know what I mean? And we made that record with Dave Castell, and that record, man, I hear it sometimes. People will remind me of something after I make a song. You know how it is once you've listened to it over and over and mixing and mastering and all the process. You're overhearing it, so you just don't listen to it for a while. So, like, unless it's a short snippet we're having to do for promo something, I don't listen to the song in its entirety at all. You know, I just want to keep it fresh for live, you know, and it's like almost like I reinvent it every time we have a show. I want it to mean something different so I can really have an honest, legit performance that people can connect with, you know. Like Greatest Tragedy, man, we did a lot, dude. We had a lot of regional success. We did real well. We did BuzzFest, Edgefest. We toured a lot. We toured, 250 dates a year for 4 or 5 years, and had a lot of success, man. A couple of state fairs, some big stuff for young kids. You know, I'm 20-year-old doing these things from Belton. It was like insane to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just super walking in humility for sure. You know.
Yeah. Well,
yes,
and then you ended up. After that, was there anything between that and Mother's Anthem, or was that what you went straight to Mother's Anthem from that? Okay.
No, I went through this phase. There's a lot of local talent in the Temple Belton area, and during that time, I have a really good friend named Jesse Howarth. Jesse, he was actually a worship pastor for years here around town, and super talented at writing and production. We have a little home studio, and ended up. When Greatest Tragedy kind of stopped, we were told that we weren't going to be able to be supported by the label group to have a second record, and we were kind of phasing out. We had a few more spot dates, and it was like, oh man, what am I going to do with my life? That happened fast, you know.
Right.
So, I worked with Dave Castell on a small little 2 or 3 song. A demo with Chris Lindsay in Nashville, who did Rascal Flatts and Kelly Pickler and people like that. Keith Urban had some interest in a song, and there were some cool little things happening out there, but I just wasn't really ready for the Nashville Flash thing. That was not my bag at all. I was, you got to realize, I'm coming in there and I'm raw as hell, dude. Nashville was, at that time, had no rock elements in it at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Now you got Bradley
Durbin
Gilbert and
right.
Jelly Roll.
That would work now, right? That would work now. That would not work back then. At that time, it was a weird time. They were about to transition to that with guys like Keith Urban, you know? So, and Hunter Hayes and guys who could play, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I came back to Belton, and Jesse Howarth was here. My buddy John Cooper. He was the production manager at Backyard in Waco, a really nice venue there. He's an incredible drummer, though. And then John Wazinski, who's the bassist for Granger Smith. We all lived together, and we wrote and recorded some things, and it was called Kirk Baxley and the Buckshot Jones Band.
Okay, that's what I saw.
So
love the name, the Buckshot Jones.
That's all Jesse, bro. So what's crazy is we put together a set, and we were pretty much playing the same venues Greatness and Tragedy had built up fan bases in. So I would do a few greatness songs, and we were doing like a really that was when it got Southern Rocky. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been very Whiskey Myers vibe kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And so we leaned into that and did some things. And about the time that we really started getting serious about making a record with Dave Castell again, is when I got hit up by Jono, Julian, Zach, Boy. And they hit me up and were like, hey, man, we're putting together this project.
Did you already know these guys? Or is that when you met them?
Shows. Oh, yeah. I had played shows with Canvas quite a bit with the Blue October camp by then.
Okay.
And Julian was a big fan of me as a front man. And then Zach, we had played with Dames Violet 4 or 5 times by this time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And then Jono I knew from Resident Hero out of Tyler. When we'd hit East Texas, we'd do shows with them. And then I actually really remember meeting Jono when Greatness would do a bunch of shows with Flyleaf, which at the time was Passerby. And we, their singer and Lacey did a couple duets. And anyway, we had all three play a bill, you know. So I kind of like, I knew of them, probably shaking their hand once or twice. But the club scene for me at that time, because we did get pretty popular pretty fast regionally, I found myself being like really outgoing, like on a personal level. But when it came to like, there started being like legit crowds, I've always like gotten really anxious in big crowds. And it's weird. It's like opposite for me because like if I sit down on the acoustic guitar, there's 5 people in here, I'm way more nervous than performing in front of 20,000 people. It's just a different thing. It's a different thing for me.
Because they can be critical quickly, too, you know?
They really know when you mess up. There's no reverb behind it, you know?
Shoot you down quick.
We were about to record a record, and it's funny. As I went on with Mother's Anthem, the Buckshot Jones Band continued on. And actually had some Texas country. They had some Texas country success, man. It did some things.
Oh, cool.
That was fun to watch them do their thing, you know? Yeah.
And then you went on to Mother's Anthem. And how long did that last? How long were y'all a band? It was a good while, right?
I'd have to look at dates, man. We, right out of the gate, dude, like our first show, it was just cool because we had individuals from bands that had really gained a solid fan base, you know? And we didn't realize it was going to really be this. We were just excited that we Julian puts it like he picked out like, you know, like the dude of the bands, you know, who were in a spot that could put something together. So he went after Zach because Zach was the dude. You know what I'm saying?
Zach's incredible, dude.
He's the mother effer. He's the mother effer in that scene. And then you grab Jono. Jono's like, you know, an arena rock drummer. Pretty boy, hitting the drums hard, spinning the sticks, bro. An arena-style performer, you know?
Yeah.
And we had a different bassist at the time. We played one show with him, and he wouldn't pray with me before a show, and it bothered me for some reason. And so we replaced him, and we went after Drew Walters because Drew Walters was in this band called Pilot Radio from Houston. And I loved that band, and I had met Drew a couple times, and I knew that he had moved to Austin to play with Dames Violet. And I would link up with him like at Lucky Lounge, like on Ransom Wednesdays when they're playing the 80s cover band, and I just loved him so much immediately. I was like, Zach, he has to play in our band, bro. Like, I don't care. And, of course, we had like a meeting because Zach was playing like in 4 or 5 projects. And I still had shows with Buckshot Jones' band, but so it was like we were all kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's kind of seeing where each other was with things, I think. And I remember going to a Starbucks with Zach and sitting down and being like, brother, if you'll jump all the way in, I will jump all the way in. But, like, I have to know you're going to jump all the way in. He was like, bro, literally was going to tell you the same thing. We fell in love. And
I've been together ever since.
Bro. That's my homie, dude.
Yeah, dude. Well, and I noticed that, I printed up a lot of information on you here, and
Awesome, man.
and one of the things I noticed is his name just keeps coming up in your life, in your music, which I love because, some people, if you're joining him, maybe you are just being turned on to who Baxley is. The guitar player that we're talking about is Zach Loy, who is the lead guitarist now for the band Live, and just absolutely incredible. But has a body of work outside of Live that is absolutely just dominating. I was telling him today, I was like, the Mother's Anthem's version of Like a Drug back then should have been a hit. There is no excuse for that, man. It didn't get in front of the right person or something. But the fact that got missed is stupid. And I love that you come back with it because it's worth it. It's worth it, right? Yeah. It's that kind of song.
That's where we're at. Yeah, man, that's where we're at. That whole project is like a big heartbreak for me as an individual. I took that very personally because we did all the things right that a band should be doing, and we were playing all the right stages with all the right bands. We had signed a management agreement. Zach and I went and personally, you don't do this anymore, but we personally played for like all of the, at the time, 8 major labels, with Zach with an acoustic guitar and a loop pedal and doing delays, and I have a tambourine, and we're full pirate suited up in these offices, and we're like Keith and Mick in that joint, bro. We're turning on well, I'm swagging out. I'm completely performing for these people.
Yeah.
And it was a mixed response, but the ones that were into it were really into it. And I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus.
Yeah.
But it was not.
Hold on, let me get my list. No, I'm joking.
It was not the band or Zach and I that turned any kind of deal sour. I will tell you that.
Right. Yeah.
It was a situation we were in. Wanted a lot of control in the level up, and I don't know. I don't want to speak behalf on the other band members, but I was also going through some personal things at the time, and things. We had like 3 more months of shows, and we had hit all the majors, and pretty much got told no and like 1 or 2 yeses, and the yeses quickly went away. We don't really know all the details, but I remember distinctly leaving. The last round of showcases were in New York, and we had done Sony RCA, and Dave Walters, I believe his name is. He signed the Foo Fighters and the Strokes. We showcased for him, and he loved the project. And I've never really talked about this, but I don't know. It seemed to me like he wanted Zach and I, and he wanted to pull us out there and kind of rebrand, lose the whole pirate look, and start over out there. And
the pirate look.
It's tough. We heard all kind of different things though. Like we heard that like some of these guys are going to want to come in. They're going to want to write with you because they want to be a part of the writing. They want to be a part of the creative. When a team comes in, it's good for them to be a part. But at the time, we were like, man, that just felt like a huge bust out of here. I think Zach and I were heartbroken in a lot of ways, and we had worked so hard. The other deal is the process of making the record, I feel like on a personal level, shouldn't have taken near as long as it did. Our manager was a perfectionist, bro, and I don't know if you know this, but when we dropped Save the Fallen, that's the name of the record, it was a double disc set. It was a 13-song record, and the other disc was a live, full production by Dave Castell performance in professionally shot concert from top to bottom. I think I saw
a piece of this.
Yeah.
You did Save Her.
Yeah.
Were you on piano or?
Yeah. I did.
Okay.
I did a song called "Amaze Me." And I brought up three gospel. Yeah, I brought up 3 gospel singer friends of mine, and we went straight Prince on that joint. You know what I mean?
Ah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
How amazing.
And I don't have a copy of the DVD right now. I don't have one, but dude, the show was lights out. It was in front of 1,000 people, invitation only. We did it at the sound stage at the old off 71 over there, off St. Elmo. The rehearsal space that used to be over there. I forget the name of it, but we rented it out. We did it upright. We brought in full staging. Richard Belial, who toured with Seven Dust and the Used, he ran front of house, and it was insane. So the post production of things like that back then were not like today. We did not have Final Cut. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So people are having a hodgepodge of this thing together and make it right for back then, and it took so long, dude. And our manager was so nitpicky because he believed in the project so much, I feel like. And so we had to tour those songs for 2.5 years before the record even came out, bro.
Oh, my
Wrap your
God.
head around that.
Yeah, you're like,
For
dude,
2
I
years.
want to go home.
Once
in a while.
Not to mention, God Save the Queen was originally a Greatness of Tragedy song, my song, but originally Greatness of Tragedy song. So, dude, I'd already toured this song for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And here I am again, you know?
Yeah.
And guess what? Big spoiler alert, we're redoing it again. So
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's a great song, dude. God Save the Queen is incredible. That's one of those, when I heard it, I was like, you know, you're kind of going along and then, God Save the Queen, you know, and I'm like,
yeah.
and you kind of turn your head, I'm like, yeah, you know. I turned my 10-year-old son on to you the other day, and he was just having a blast listening. He loves rap music, and he likes rock, so it was just a great combo, and it was a lot. You know, I love turning him on to stuff that's different, and you know, it's funny because like one of the things in your history too is you were a country artist, right?
I sure was, man. I had a little bit of a time there. I love that your son's 10 and he digs the music. What's his name?
Oh, he loves it. His name's Jackson.
Jackson, that's a great name. I have a baby girl. She's 9, and she's a critic. You know what I'm saying? She's serious, but yeah. Dude,
don't screw up, Dad.
No, yeah.
I'm watching.
Dude, she's my heartbeat, bro. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
You know, your dad. You know how it is.
Absolutely. I've actually got 4 kiddos.
Oh, let's go, family band, dude. Yeah. That's awesome, bro. Yeah, but I did country for a minute, man. After Mother's Anthem, I kind of came back home. I'd lived like in 3 or 4 different places, and I was living up in the Deep Ellum area as the band kind of finally played our final shows. And Mother's Anthem was a weird deal, man, because we never announced we were done. We never said it was the last show and we're done. We literally just stopped playing. You know what I mean? I think Antone's for me. I was sad Jono. You know, Jono's not playing anymore. He's a busy man doing business stuff, and that was the only sad thing for me. Is that night I got to put closure on that part of my life personally.
Oh, I didn't even think about it like that.
Oh, dude, it was emotional, bro. I'm almost getting choked up talking about it. It was, it hurt, dude, when everything fell apart like that. And so, yeah, man, I left Dallas. I kind of started playing some acoustic shows and writing, and I did this thing for Jason Castro from American Idol. He's a homie. Shout out, Jason. He hosted this Dallas Unsigned show and picked like his favorite singer-songwriters, which everyone on the stage, even now, they're all doing it, man. They're all very talented people. And I was very humbled to be a part of it, you know, and I'm up there. And that was the first time I'd played acoustic ever during the whole Mother's Anthem thing, you know what I mean? And so a lot of Mother's Anthem folks came out and they didn't even know I played guitar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't know that, and then I was looking
yeah.
through videos, and I was like, wait, he
Yeah.
just picked up a guitar, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I, that was the first really spotlighted show where it's like Baxley's going to try to do this alt country thing. That was about the time I was working with Chris Lindsay out in Nashville another time. And then was here in Texas, moved back down to the Temple Belton area, started writing and recording. I was always making music and started just picking up a ton of acoustic shows.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many people around the region and in Texas. It was weird. Texas, a lot of times was, even though they were sometimes sold out venues, a lot of time towards the end sold out venues, outside of the state, we did much bigger shows and venues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so coming back, I felt a lot of love because I had a lot of promoters and a lot of booking people immediately want to book me doing acoustic stuff. So I got like four or five different residencies that were really solid for me, and would do like an hour set, and I'd bring in 2 or 3 other artists to open up. I met some really cool people during this time. I'm singing Purple Rain, and I look down, and there's Danny Worsnop, the lead singer of Asking Alexandria. Hey, mate, I was told you're the most badass singer. I had to call him, and you're amazing. We became buddies instantly. And
cool.
People like that. Of course, Paco Estrada from South FM. He's been a brother for forever. He was real instrumental in encouraging me during that time. Dave Castell and I made some sounds during that time. We cut some things. And I started playing out and started getting some really positive feedback. I kind of started putting together a band. And all of a sudden, before I know it, I'm getting talked into putting a cowboy hat on, and we're going to try Texas country all the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and it was kind of weird, dude, because like I love country music. I love outlaw country music.
I do too, man.
I could play.
Do you know Struggle Jennings? Do you know that name? Struggle Jennings?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Shooter, Struggle.
Oh yeah, and check this out. And Yellow Wolf, of course, Yellow Wolf. You got to throw him in there.
Yes.
Waylon Jennings played in my grandfather's cousin's band in Littlefield, Texas. He's from the same city that my mom's from, and
that's awesome.
Played the guitar in the band, and he was so bad at it that they turned his ass down till he learned to get better at playing. And then they kind of moved him up. So if you look on the Wikipedia, you'll see that it says he played in a little radio band, and it kind of makes it sound like it was his band. It was their band, and he came in and played. I'm sure it became his show later on, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But they turned him down, and it doesn't say that. But yeah, Waylon Jennings, comes from the same neck of the woods that I do. I'm from Odessa, Texas, but dude, outlaw country, brother. There ain't nothing better. Have you heard what is it? Sons of Disaster, Melee and the Sun.
Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
Yeah, Maylene.
One of my favorite metal bands of all time.
Yes.
They're amazing, bro.
Dude.
And they're back, and I'm so glad to see
yes.
I messaged them recently, and I was just like, dudes, I'm a long time obsessed fan with what you guys did, and they just brought such a southern swag to such a modern technical world at the time.
Yeah.
And we opened for them. Oh gosh, it had to be I think it was Greatness and Tragedy, dude. We opened for them at the Door, Dallas one time. And we were the second band of 5 bands. And by the time they went on, dude, they were coming in in cutoffs and work boots and looked all dirty and it was just so badass, bro. They hit the stage.
I have roots in Deep Ellum too. Deep Ellum is a place that I went to Southwestern Assembly God University in Waxahachie, and I led a group.
That's right. Yeah. I knew that you did that, dude. I knew you did that. I forgot.
And I led a ministry out there called Pierce, and it went on for another 16 years after we started it in Deep Elm, and then Deep Elm kind of changed over the years, you know, and it's kind of a little more of a suburbanite type place than it was in the 90s. In the 90s, you'd be walking down the street and Trent Reznor'd walk right in front of you. You know, it was
absolutely,
it was wild.
I've told people that the early days of Greatest in Tragedy, it didn't matter what venue it was or what bands were coming through. Every venue was at capacity. It was like packed, and that's very true. Real rock stars, really on the street, hanging out, kicking it. It was like this whole vibe, bro.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And it was a little bit dirty, too. Like, we had... I had one time, so what we did, we didn't go out there and stand on a box and preach at people. We just loved them, and we'd help them and, you know, feed them and stuff like that. And we're helping this one guy, and he just drops a ton of needles right in front of us. And my guys and gals start to help him pick him up. And I put my arm in front of him. I'm like, no. You know,
don't touch that.
Yeah, but I've got these kids, and I'm taking 100 of them out there. I'm 19 myself. Right? And I'm taking 100 people that are college age. Half of them have never seen anything other than Christian music, have had zero exposure, and they don't have any real world experience at all. And they want to help the guy, you know? And I'm like, you gotta, you know, but it was dope down there.
Oh, dude, such an electric vibe down back then, you know? Just electric. Yeah, dude, I love it. I love Deep Elm. But, like, dude, Outlaw Country, I could play you every line of Boy Named Sue by Mr. J.R. Cash right now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I'm a huge Outlaw Country fan. It's always been in my sets. It's probably going to still be in my sets. A lot of people are comparing me to a modernized Kid Rock, which I got booked on probably my biggest show ever to date, which is saying something. At the end of October, I can't quite reveal it right now, but I'm playing main stage at a big Outlaw Country Fest doing my material.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be the metal vibe. I'm going to be the outlaw of the Outlaw Country for sure.
What people don't realize, though, is, hey, look, man, I'm a redneck from West Texas, man. But I like hip-hop, I like metal, and I damn sure love rock and roll. And I like country, too. So you start mixing that stuff up and throwing a little bit of... I'm here to listen, man. And you know, like... what is that new song about Brantley Gilbert and Jelly Roll? Man. Son of a Southern...
Son of a Sinner, yeah.
No, that's a different one. But a Southern something or another. Anyhow... I wish I could remember it. I feel like a little bit of a jackass because I can't, but it's okay.
You're good.
It's got that rap and rock vibe, and it hit the charts and did well, you know. And I'm excited, you know. Believe it or not, when I interviewed Michael Sweet, he's a big country fan, and especially outlaw country. Yeah. He was like, I'm like, so what do you think about these rappers like Struggle Jennings and Yellow Wolf and these guys that mix a little country in with what? And he's like, it's just not country. And I'm like, yeah, well, so what? It fits, right? It works. Like, we can listen to that too.
Bro, as long as an artist,
he's a purist, though.
He's a purist.
Yeah, he's a purist.
That's all that is. You know, I grew up, like I said way earlier, I grew up with good country singers and good country bands around me, learning to two-step at the VFW Hall in Academy, Texas, with my grandma. And, you know, her sons are playing on stage. My mom's singing background for the band. And, you know, they're playing Gary Stewart and, you know, all the dance hall hits, you know, Empty Glass. And, you know, so when I started doing country, it's funny. A lot of my family, who had only been to like a small handful of Mother's Anthem and Greatest and Tragedy shows combined, all of a sudden they're real supportive and coming to a lot of shows. Yeah. And that felt good, you know. Yeah. And I made this record. I made a record on Vision Entertainment. I signed with Vision Entertainment. Things start rolling along. And I'm opening for everyone in the Texas country scene. I was really fortunate in that scene. Aaron Watson immediately took me under his wing. I opened for Aaron a ton. I opened for Stoney LaRue a bunch. I opened for Wade Bowen. I opened for Randy Rogers. I opened for a bunch of dudes. And then I played song swaps with guys like Parker McCollum. Co Wetzel opened for us. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
wow.
this is back
Yeah.
then. And those are my homies, you know what I mean? And I'm so proud for their success. They're good dudes, you know. So it was crazy. It was a crazy time. I got, we charted 2 or 3 songs in the Texas country charts. I was on Seventh Planet bookings. Shout out Kelly Pierce, love you. We stayed busy, man. I mean, we were playing 12 to 15 shows a month, and touring regionally quite a bit, and then right outside of Texas. And about that time is when I started having some vocal trouble, and I didn't know what was going on. But I started losing tonality, pitch. I started losing breath support. Something was really wrong. It was sort of the touch, and I'm classically trained from early on. I had some incredible vocal coaches growing up and learning classical music and everything, and it was wrong. Something was wrong. So got scoped, and on my left vocal cord, I had a polyp and a hemorrhage on my left vocal cord. And I was told, if you do one more weekend, that hemorrhage will rupture and split that polyp, and you will be paralyzed on that side of your voice, and you'll never be able to speak again. Like, you're done. So,
dude, that's just not even being able to speak, man. Oh,
dude, my daughter was like 2, 3 at this time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my God. So I have a surgery. I have a fusion surgery where they go down with these lasers and they cut the lifelines off of these things. Then I have to go on 6-month vocal rest, and then 6 months of speech therapy to learn to speak properly again.
When you say 6 months of vocal rest, do you mean you had to keep your mouth shut for 6 months?
For 3 months, I didn't speak at all.
Dude, that would drive me nuts. And I mean, you're so extroverted, I can't believe. Oh man,
dude,
torture.
It was horrible, dude. And I went through, dude, during that. So anyway, I do that time. Then I go to speech therapy, and then they're like, okay, you're clear to sing. And I had very little control of what I was doing, to where there was 2.5 years. This blows my mind that I did not pick up a guitar and try to sing a single song. I was devastated. I was depressed. I thank God for Cameron Nelson. He's retired now from music, but Cameron Nelson's a Texas country singer. We toured out with Cody Johnson and a lot of the big dudes in the Texas country scene. And he hired me as a bassist because I have a little bit of chops. I can kind of play it all. You know what I mean? He was like, just lock in with my kick and just learn the songs. And my first show with the band, I got board mixes, no rehearsal. I show up, we opened for Aaron Watson at the Bell County Expo Center in my hometown of Belton, Texas. So you want to talk about a humbling moment, was to face my hometown and show them, no, Kirk's not singing anymore. Kirk's playing bass now, which is fine. But I can't even have a mic. I can't hardly talk. You know what I mean? And thank God for Gabe Muniz. He's now at Floating Leaf Entertainment. Shout out Gabe. And Cameron Nelson and Bryson Martinick. Many late nights of me in just a darkness on me. Feeling called to share your message, and knowing you have the chops, knowing you have the skill, knowing that you can face those kind of crowds, knowing you know how to convey a message and move a room and have them on your team by the end of the hour set, and not even being able to talk, was the most devastating thing, I think, to ever happen. And thank God for my daughter, Lindley Grace. It encouraged me. She lit me up. If she was not here, I don't know, dude. I was in a dark spot. And so I played bass for 2 years with Cameron Nelson. And I loved him and I loved his songs. And then fast forward a little bit of time, and Kimberly Dunn called. Kimberly Dunn, the Texas country artist. She's in Nashville now, and her husband Scott called and said, Baxley, can you come fill in for Pat Sills on bass? I'm like, Pat Sills is my homie. I will come fill in for
Oh,
Pat
cool,
Sills.
Pat Sills.
So I fly out. I learned 25 songs in 2 days. I fly out. I set up, and I'm playing Josh Rogers from the Rocket Boys on drums. I'm on bass. Scott's on lead guitar. Kim's fronting, and it's lights out. I do 4 shows for Pat. At the end of the 4 shows, I'm supposed to fly back home, and I'm like mowing grass at this point in between. I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life, dude. And so, I end up, they end up wanting me to stay. We want you to stay. We want you to play like dobro, hollow body, and acoustic, and sing some backgrounds. And I'm kind of coming back, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I end up being the secondary guitarist in the band. You know what I mean? She's playing some pretty big shows, and so I had to. I'm a real parts oriented player, so I had to learn chops that like Jason Aldean's lead guitar players playing and stuff. So it's like pretty serious stuff. So I had to get my chops up and nail down those parts, and we toured together for about a year or so, you know. And then when I came back to start making my own songs, all of a sudden, I could play the damn bass. I could play guitar a little bit better. I feel the pocket a little bit more. And now I'm singing again, and now it's on. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, with my neck surgery, I had neck surgery about 3 months ago. Before that, I'd been in a car wreck, and for 3 years, it just kept getting worse and worse. And then I had like I said, a calcium deposit that I didn't know was growing into my spine. And so I would wake up and like just racked with pain, you know? So like that's,
oh, man.
You know, when they did that surgery, I felt like I was free, you know, and that's what it sounds like to me with you. It's like I was, it's almost, it sounds like, you know, like for the first time, probably in a long time, you're very clear, you know, as to exactly where you want to go with this and what you want to do. And you've been through it. You've had the experiences. You've been drugged through the mud, and you've been on top of the mountain, man. And the cool thing about it is you know who you are now, and you know how to, you know, to put it together. And with that talent that you know, sometimes when we get held back in life, I think, or we go through some failures or some issues, it's like, you know, I actually used to be a preacher too. And I used to, I was a youth pastor for a while, and I have a degree in theology. But, you know, one of the things that I like to talk to people about, you know, you hear the scripture, though I walk through this valley of the shadow of death, you know, and what we think about a lot of times is those valleys, but those valleys are where we rest and gain strength to climb the mountain again, right? And
absolutely, dude.
So like you've been down in the valley and you're on your way up, man. So, you know, I just want to say, man, I hope the best for you. It's good to see somebody that really loves music, wants to create original new sounds, you know, not trying to follow anybody else's formula. It's refreshing. I remember the first time Zach told me about you, and he popped over that and I was like, what? You know, this is fire, man. And I would encourage y'all, if you haven't looked up Baxley on YouTube, do it. Check him out on Instagram. I'll let you go ahead and do your plug and stick around while I close out the show after this. But go ahead, give us a plug for whatever you want to plug.
Well, I'm going to speak on your Valley thing for, you know, I got to preach for a minute. Here's the deal. Never take for granted your gifts. I took for granted my gift. It was so natural. And I overlooked the fact that it was some sort of a gift, and it took me not having it to realize how special I should have treated it. You know what I mean? And how special I should have, how much I should have been more appreciative of the opportunities I was given. I overlooked a lot of people that helped me, and I was a hustle on the next with the best intentions. But now older, I realized Man, I'm so fortunate to get to make music. I'm so fortunate I have an outlet for my therapy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm beyond blessed to have a daughter in my life and a team around me who's encouraging me. And I will never take it for granted again. And I'm very grateful for all your support. Um, like the Bible says, I mean, I try not to preach, but consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face the trials of any kind, for the testing of your faith only develops perseverance, so you may not lack any. And I live by that. I have found joy in the valley, and everything's bright, and I'm looking up, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for you, Jeremy, having me on your show. And yeah, man, find me I Am Baxley Music on Instagram. I Am Baxley Music on TikTok. I Am Baxley on Facebook. And man, I hope to see you out on the road. I hope to share my songs with you live and give you a hug, anybody. And man, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man, it was great. I really enjoyed this, and like I said, stay on, and we'll talk after for just a bit.
Absolutely.
Collective Cart is a more equitable way to do e-commerce. Whether you need a partner for growth or e-commerce services, we got you covered. We're a collective of artists, devs, designers, and growth experts that work to build your e-commerce vision. We have two ways of doing that. One, we can become your partner, giving you a heavily discounted rate for services as we partner for equity in what you're doing to see exponential growth. Two, we have different levels of transparent pricing that can be custom fit for you. Schedule a call at the bottom of our website, collectivecart.io, for either choice. Either way, you can win with Collective Cart, a more equitable way to do e-commerce. collectivecart.io.